I'm Stefanie, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Let's Talk Film, a series where contemporary women get a chance to have their voices heard on the latest film releases. Today's film we'll be reviewing is the romantic comedy The 5-Year Engagement, co-written by Nicholas Stoller and Jason Segel, directed by Nicholas Stoller. I'm sitting here outside of Fulton Grand Bar, which is named after the two streets it sits on, Fulton and Grand. It is located here on the corner in Brooklyn where the Clinton Hill and Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhoods intersect. At this crossroads, you'll find a true sense of community. Local businesses and associations thrive alongside the beautiful residences we have come to appreciate about this borough. And the Fulton Grand is a welcoming neighborhood bar with a super friendly staff to boot. Praised for its high-quality rotating beer selections at affordable prices and its cozy feel, the Fulton Grand has zealous fans both near and far. Let's go inside and find out what keeps them coming back for more. So Hillary, can you tell me a little bit about what you do here at Fulton Grand?
Yeah, sure. I'm the bartender, so I spent most of my day talking about beer and making cocktails and serving whiskey.
Now, Fulton Grand is one of how many bars exactly?
The owners of this establishment also own the 4th Avenue Pub over on 4th Ave between Bergen and St. Mark's, and Washington Commons. It's on Washington Avenue and Park Place, both in Brooklyn.
Oh, I was going to ask, are all of them in Brooklyn? And can you tell us a little bit about your craft beer? Now, I understand that you're the only craft beer bar in this area. That's number one. Number two, you rotate your beers on a seasonal basis. Can you tell me how you choose your beers and when do you rotate them out?
Sure, it's true. One of our owners, he's sort of our resident beer expert, and he has a lot of relationships with the beer distributors here. So we have a wide assortment of styles from all over the United States and the world. We switch out our drafts as we run out of them. So we get a keg of one beer, and it might only be around for 2 days. And we have another one that might last a little bit longer, but as soon as it's gone, we have something waiting on deck to go on. Generally, we keep the same styles. So if we have an IPA, which is a very popular style of beer, an India Pale Ale, we usually will put on another one of that same style, but maybe from a different state, slightly different variety.
And you also do whiskeys as well, so how do you select your whiskeys and when do you switch those out?
We do. That kind of makes the Fulton Grand a little different from the other two bars. We specialize in whiskey as well, so we have over 90 different kinds of bourbons, rye whiskeys, and scotches here too. So,
Well, Hillary, I can see is really popping here, so I'm going to let you get back to work. But thank you so much for doing this interview. Thank you. So now let's meet our panelists. And today's panelist is Carmen Mathis. Carmen Mathis is the executive producer and host of The Carmen Mathis Show. She's an actor, theater director, and playwright in New York City. Today's film we'll be reviewing is the romantic comedy 5-Year Engagement, co-written by Nicholas Stoller and Jason Segel, directed by Nicholas Stoller. So, Carmen, do you feel The 5-Year Engagement is identical to every other romantic comedy film?
Absolutely not. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised to find that it was not. It was, it had some depth to it, and the writing was good, so no. And the characters were not airheads and, full of angst, fake angst. So, no, I enjoyed it, actually. So I didn't think it was. It was a breath of fresh air.
I know the reason why I felt like it had a little bit of diversity in the story itself is because usually when we meet romantic comedies, it's two people that can't be together, that want to be together for whatever reason, either because they're in relationships or because the timing's wrong or whatever the case is. But these are two people who are already in a relationship. And it's interesting because relationships, I think, in American culture are given, as we all know in life, has its drama.
Sure.
Indeed. So what did you feel was the central crisis of this film?
Well, I couldn't find one, not really, because the whole thing was, why couldn't they get married? Why? They're engaged, they become engaged, they're in a loving relationship, it seems, and then what makes them not get married?
Yeah.
And so with relocation and jobs and etc., we find out, but that was supposed to be the crisis, I thought, and I really didn't. I couldn't buy that premise.
I agree. I completely agree. I felt as if, they had a plan in the film, which was to do this move after they settled and they got their bearings, then start the process of the wedding. I didn't understand why that couldn't happen. It seemed as if they had everything there that they needed in order to be married, and they just didn't. One of the things that they kept referring to were some deaths.
Yes.
So there were some deaths in the family. I'm not sure if that was a holdup at some point, but it didn't seem like it.
No.
Didn't really seem like it. So I had trouble finding the central crisis of the film as you. Does this film successfully integrate conflict and comedy?
Well, because the conflict is not necessarily there. Well, when they did show some conflict, it was all right. I mean, it did integrate it very well. There was just not that much conflict, just situations. I didn't find the conflicts were dire, just situations that happen here and there.
It's true. I think that one of the things this film didn't necessarily do was build tension between characters, whether it be emotional tension or intellectual tension or even just relationship tension. It didn't really build up any of that, so it began to become very difficult to determine kind of where the conflicts arose. But when they were present, and when you could see that there's some issue between one person and another, there were definitely serious moments, very well interspliced with comedy, and little jokes here and there. So I thought that definitely kind of brought those two together. Did you find the chemistry between Jason Segel, who played Tom, and Emily Blunt, who played Violet, credible?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did. I liked the chemistry between both of them. Neither one is drop dead gorgeous, so that didn't get in the way. And she's a college professor. He's a chef. And for the chemistry that they had between them, I bought it. I believed it.
And I did. I liked their chemistry, not just when they were having good moments, but also when they were having problems as well, and how they dealt with that. Because I was curious to see just in the progression of their relationship, because they had only been together for a year, and then they decided to be engaged. When they started dealing with some of their real issues, how would that look on screen, and how would they handle that as two individuals? And they seemed to handle it very well. And then as actors, I mean, again, the whole relationship seemed totally credible and plausible. I didn't question them at all. Because that can be very easy to do when you meet two characters. It's like, well, why are they together? Well, they don't really fit this, that, and the third. But this was good. This was a good mix. What does this film suggest about the current state of marriage?
Well, I don't know about that, because I don't think I'm a traditional believer about marriage. I mean, for my age and my generation, don't go with all the so-called given aspects of marriage. So I think that's just the way it is. I think that's the way life is. And you get married. People get married for all kinds of reasons. And they don't get married for all kinds of reasons. A lot of times I think that women get married because they want to get married, or because the culture says that they must be married. So I don't think that this movie necessarily addresses the state of marriage or the current state of marriage in the country. I think it just shows one aspect of it.
Yeah, one aspect of one relationship.
Yeah.
Totally true. I had a hard time myself with this question as well, because I think that marriage isn't something that's on the incline. It's kind of something that's on the decline. And again, like I said earlier, I just feel like in American society and culture, relationships are given such a bad rap. And so for these two characters to be coming together and having all of these obstacles, and then to desire to get married, I think it's just sending message that it's still there. People still do get married, and although it's not popularized, and divorce is what's popularized and what we see, marriage is still there, and people are still trying to make it work.
Or the idea of marriage.
Yeah,
or the idea, because as I said before, people get married for all kinds of reasons, and it's not for love all the time. Not for love.
So what did you feel were the strengths and weaknesses of this film?
Well, the strengths were the diverse characters that we encountered, and the locations not being Los Angeles or New York, which I found refreshing, but in Michigan and San Francisco. So, and even the pub that they like to go to, I liked that pub. It was just so out of
Wait,
the
which
ordinary.
one? The one
The
in
Drunken
the Drunken Pig.
Pig.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
guess it was like a vineyard, perhaps.
Yes.
Yes.
So those were the strengths of diversity of the characters that they showed us, and we got an international set of characters because the in-laws were from London. She's from London, and he's from San Francisco. But a lot of the movie takes place in Michigan, in a college town.
I must agree. So the diversity was key. The writing was key.
Yeah.
A lot of the choice in comedians. So we had Mindy Kaling, who we've seen in The Office. We've also saw Kevin Hart.
Yes,
who played Doug.
it was delightful.
Again, he's in a film right now, Think Like a Man, that's #1 in the box office. And let's see, Emily Blunt. She's English. I'm not sure what the male Asian character's name is.
Who played Ming.
Yeah, the actor's name. I'm not sure what his name is, but he offered a breath of fresh air as well. And the lead professor, I forgot his name. But he's his character was from Wales.
Wales.
And so, you definitely did have a good mixture of not just talent, but also characters in that film, and I think it's...
Oh, and also the religions. He was Jewish, Jewish, but not really Jewish, and she was Catholic, I guess, but she didn't seem particularly, neither did he. I mean, strong enough to...
wanted involved in their wedding.
But he didn't, but it came out that he never really wore a yarmulke, and she'd never seen one and didn't know what it was. And
well, he had it in his Jewish drawer.
So, but it didn't seem to faze either one of them. Okay, just getting married by whom, it didn't matter. So I like that.
Indeed.
They also had gay characters in there.
Yes.
That were not your standard.
Yeah, actually, she voted against Prop 8. Funny enough, the gay character, because she wasn't a fan of marriage.
Right.
Indeed. So I mean, diversity in who was involved, sexual orientation, ethnicity, culture, religion. This film really had it all and presented it all, not only in the characters but also in the choice of actors.
Absolutely.
And the writing was really strong. The weaknesses for me were really the length of the film.
Oh,
it was
yes.
way too long.
It was too long.
I couldn't think of what could have been cut out because I don't like to present a problem without offering a solution. So I couldn't figure what needed to be cut out. But I think maybe there just needed to be a restructuring of the overall edit of the film to leave out some of the fat, trim out some of the fat of the film so it's just not there. It just a whole 2 hours and 4 minutes for that film. Just, I don't know, it didn't need to.
No, it wasn't. And also, there was also one, they had a lot of blood sometimes. Not a lot, but a lot of fingers and toes and things.
And the appendages being
and
lost.
Appendages.
And it's funny you mention that because, whenever you see something present in a film more than once, it usually creates some kind of a trend. It has a meaning or a purpose. And I couldn't really figure out what the meaning or purpose
or serve some sort of foreshadowing, which we never saw. There was none.
So if you were not on this panel, would you have gone to see this film?
Probably not. This is not my genre of film to see because I find a lot of romantic comedies just too mundane and banal and too hokey and too contrived and et cetera, et cetera.
I totally agree with you.
And unrealistic,
one-sided, and undiverse.
Actresses flinging their hair, especially if they're blonde. I mean, the whole movie is spent with the hair and the hair and the hair. It just drives me crazy. So no, I don't usually spend money to go see a romantic comedy.
Indeed. Well, Carmen, I want to thank you so much for spending the time with me this afternoon to talk about this film. Your comments have been fascinating. Your perspective has been great. So I just want to thank you for being with me this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And I want to take a moment and thank Hillary Krishnan for allowing us to shoot here at Fulton Grand. The film we've been reviewing has been the romantic comedy, The 5-Year Engagement, co-written by Nicholas Stoller and Jason Segel, directed by Nicholas Stoller. For this episode and more, check us out at www.letstalkfilmdotcom, which is also available for your mobile device. Until next time, I'm your host, Stefanie Alleyne. Keep watching and keep talking film.